What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Diamond in the Rough podcast. Just a few rough looking guys talking about much better looking guys on a baseball diamond. If you're new here, welcome. We have a YouTube channel. Make sure you go hit the subscribe button if you're listening over on Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, what's up? Make sure you go follow us on Spotify, Little Diamond in the Rough on the go. We also have social media, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. We're getting there. We're trying. My name is McMiller42. You can find me on all platforms at McMiller42. Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all of that fun stuff. I'm here with my boys NMR Sports and Therialt of Therialt Gaming. Of course, as always, you guys know him. You guys love him. Nolan, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, my man. How is everybody else doing? Nick,
Long
doing
time no
golden?
see, you know?
You got your Blue Jays hat on? Your Blue Jays
Oh,
beating up on the Orioles?
I forgot to switch.
You've got to switch. You know where your
I was gonna
MLB, your
switch.
black and white MLB hat, the Zach Hampel special.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I've been chilling though. Having some it's hot as shit out here in Florida, man. It's like it's not even hot, it's just gross stickiness. Like you get I got to work today and I just
sore.
like before I even clocked in, I'm like, God, I need to take 3 showers right now. Like you could scrape a layer of like slime off of me, dude. Disgusting. It's Florida season. So yeah, that's what Florida's like in the summer. So but you know,
I thought that would be Florida all the time.
oh no, winters are nice. It's like a nice dry cold. It'll get down to like the 20s, like with wind chill.
Yeah. At least
Yeah.
there's no snow.
I mean, I would prefer snow, but it's whatever. No, you're just walking around. You're just walking around cold as shit with your shorts on, and your legs look like purple in color. It's not good. Not a good sight.
All right, well, now that we're talking about the Florida weather.
Now that we got our
Florida
small
man
talk
himself.
out of the way, let's get down to
Yes,
business.
let's get down to business. So we've got a bunch of topics here. As you can see by the title of the episode, right above my dear head here, we're fixing baseball today. There has been a lot of shit that's come out about the game, foreign substance use, umpires are terrible, minor leaguers are sleeping on the streets. I don't know if that's actually true, but in their cars anyway.
Yeah, it's on the streets technically.
Yeah, we're talking about all that fun stuff. We're recording this, just, pull back the curtain a little bit. We're recording this on the same day we recorded our home run derby MVP discussion. We just wanted to have a fun episode before we talked about some of the harder stuff, but we felt like we needed to talk about it. We're going to have about 10 minutes on the clock for each topic, just to keep ourselves, I could talk about this all day, but obviously we're not going to have a 6-hour episode. So I think first and foremost, the most controversial, the hottest topic right now is the sticky stuff discussion. We'll talk about what that means in a second here. I'm sure you guys, a lot of you know about what we're talking about, but if you don't, real quick, starting this Monday, 2 days from now, on the day we're recording this, I think by the time this comes out, the rule will have already started, but MLB is banning all substances on the mound, whether that is spider tack, any concoction. You can't use sunscreen and rosin. You can't even use sweat in rosin. Don't know how they're going to enforce that. Good luck. But if the umpire, each pitcher is going to be inspected once or twice during their appearance. Starters get checked before they go out there, and then at least once throughout the game. And then relievers get checked after their appearance, not before, unless the umpire sees them, go into their glove, grab something, and then he can eject them during. But that's the rule. There's a lot of debate about what sticky stuff is, how it improves your spin and all of that. It's been proven that spider tack and these things, spider tack can take a 2400 RPM fastball, which just means this fastball spins 2400 times per minute, and it can increase it to 3000. And if you guys don't know, the higher the spin rate, the more the pitches move, the harder the pitch is to hit. And we're living in this era where the offense is at an all-time low right now. Not all-time low, but it's been really, really bad. And part of it is because of the increased spin rates. So baseball's trying to crack down on that. There's a lot to talk about. Tyler Glasnow just went on the IL because of this. Give me your first. I know I just went on a long rant. Sorry about that. But
Yeah.
give me your first initial thoughts about everything that's going on. It's a big debate.
Yeah, I mean, my take on it is if you're using it to get a grip on a baseball, I don't care. I don't even think you should have to hide it at that point. Like, if you want to use sunscreen and rosin and it helps you grip the ball, baseballs are slippery as shit, man. I got a baseball right here. It is not a very rough surface. It's not something that I don't know. It's especially if your arm is moving fast enough to be throwing a baseball 104 miles per hour like Aroldis Chapman. I don't know how in the world you control that in the first place, but if you don't have something to get a better grip on this baseball, you're gonna be fucking throwing it. You have no idea where it's going at the end of the day, and it's gonna put more strain on your arm because you got to grip it harder to make sure it goes to where you want it to go, and it's gonna stay in your hand longer. It just doesn't work out. But when you get to the major leagues, some of these guys, one of the ways they get to the major leagues is by finding little things that'll take less stress on their elbow, things like that, like Tyler Glasnow said he was using, which makes him have a looser grip on his fastball, so he can just focus on fucking humming it in there and putting it where he wants to, as opposed to focusing on tightening up his entire forearm to chuck the baseball in there, and then putting all that stress in like the base of your elbow right here. So I think we're gonna see one of two things, which one we've already seen a little bit of it. Everyone is throwing more changeups, more off-speed pitches, trying to get away from throwing their fastballs right now. And if we see people who pretty much only throw fastballs, like Carlos Rodon, he basically throws a fastball and a changeup, they're going to start getting injured. Tyler Glasnow is not going to be the only one who comes out and says, yeah, I tore my UCL because I can't fucking grip the baseball. And it's not like you have to sit there and be like, okay, well, this foreign substance is allowed, this one is, we're going to test, we have like this certain pH level that the substance can be or some shit. It just comes down to, I think everything could be solved by a rougher baseball, or what Trevor Bauer said, kind of have some sort of machine that evenly coats the baseballs, kind of like a paint mixer, but you like spray it while it's mixing the baseballs around, evenly coats them with a slightly sticky surface. But the way the baseballs are now, you have to have something to doctor up the baseball with, and rosin doesn't do shit other than dry off the sweat from your hands. So something needs to be allowed. There needs to be an approved substance that you can watch them put on before the game, maybe. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I agree with that take 100%. I think the better solution to add on to your last comment or whatever, would be to do that, yes, but allow it for everybody, so that it helps everybody. It helps with their command and their location in the strike zone. So not only the pitchers won't get injured, the hitters won't get injured in the box as well. Like when it helps their command when they're pitching. So
Yeah.
Right now, like hit by pitches are at an all-time high.
yeah.
So the whole it helps me like control it argument, like the spider tack shit needs to be out of the game. The concocted like basically liquid concrete needs to go. The way MLB did it was just completely wrong. And part of the reason that people are so mad is because the ball has changed every year since 2016. Major leaguers are on record saying this. I forget who said it, but they had two balls that were in play in the exact same game, where one ball, the seams were like an inch above the ball, and then the next ball that got fouled off in the game had literally no seams on it. It was all the same level.
Is that a
MLB
manufacturing issue, or is that like just because they were made?
They've just fucked up the balls too much. Like, so Major League Baseball bought Rawlings so that they can control how the baseballs are made and can manipulate it. And that's screwed up. Like, our whole game revolves around the ball. It's obviously a very essential part of the game. And they're changing it every year. Like, offenses were at an all-time high in 2019, and now they're awful. And like a lot of people are saying, you know, Tyler Glasnow admitted to cheating because he was using sunscreen and rosin, which is technically illegal. But I mean, it doesn't, like, the numbers back this up that stuff doesn't really increase your spin rate.
Yeah.
It might see an increase because you can actually like hold the ball, which is cool. That's always good. And part of the problem is, again, I'm speaking off of like stories that I've heard from other major leaguers, like what they've said, but the balls, they come out after getting manufactured, they go to the field, and then someone rubs the ball with mud for like to stick. But it can be, or to get the glossiness off the brand new ball. But oftentimes the balls get mudded up and then sit for 2 days before they actually get played. And if you've ever seen dry mud before, it's just fucking sand. So it doesn't. It actually makes the balls more slippery.
Yeah, more.
Slipperier. Yeah, that was a word. So it's just, it's actually effectively making the ball even more slick than it already is. Not to mention that none of the balls that they use are the same. Baseball needs to stop messing with the baseballs for sure,
Yeah.
and they should have done this in a much better manner where they just banned this, like the hardcore sticky stuff.
Well, and it doesn't
Yeah,
really matter.
They shouldn't have banned everything.
It doesn't matter unless it's giving you. If you can prove that it's giving someone a competitive advantage, that's when it turns into a problem. But like Tyler Glasnow, I just think he's a damn good pitcher. I don't think it gave him a competitive advantage. I think he is a damn good pitcher, and his spin rate didn't go down. He just hurt his arm. That's literally the only thing that changed in his game.
I mean, baseball. I'm on board with Tyler Glasnow. I think baseball caused his injury. You had to obviously. I mean, I pitched a lot. I've never pitched, in the major leagues, obviously, but you have to grip the ball harder if you can't fucking feel it, and that all goes into your UCL. All of that pressure that you're putting on your hand. And when you're throwing the ball as hard as they are, as many times as they are, you're going to tear it. It's just like...
Well, yeah. And if you ever gotten a baseball at a game, first of all, that's the doctored up baseball you're seeing there. And I can speak from experience. I used to go to baseball games all the time, and I was that kid, would always be begging for baseballs from the players. It's nothing crazy. It literally just looks like a different color. It feels the same as a non-doctored up baseball, if I'm being honest. It might be a little warmer, so that might help with the grip a little bit as opposed to a cold baseball, but... Other than that, it doesn't really help. The mud's kind of bullshit, in my opinion.
Why do they do that?
Yeah, and
I've heard a lot about that.
And I think Garrett Cole also talked about this when he was like almost crying in his press conference about it, saying like, it's not even a question of like if you want to provide some discipline for it, but like, why would you do this in the middle of the season? Just on a random, I don't remember what day you said, random Thursday in fucking June, you're going to just say, oh yeah, everyone who's been pitching this way, stop. Just reinvent your pitching right now.
Yeah, it just messes up everybody in their commands, and like at this point in the season, like it's why? Like what's...
And they're already coming back off a shortened season, which we already talked about this in the preseason, how these pitchers' arms aren't ready for a full season's worth of haul on them. And now you're making them grip the ball harder, which is going to negatively impact their arms. And even if they weren't cheating with the foreign substances, like guys like Garrett Cole were, I'm sorry to keep calling out Garrett Cole. I know everybody else cheats, but he's just a good example.
He's definitely been the scapegoat for all this.
Yeah, exactly. If they're not using it, I don't know, dude. You have the data to just be like, that guy's cheating. I have the data to say, that guy's cheating today. That guy's not cheating today. He was cheating on this day, though. You know how the spin rates work. We all can Google. It's not rocket science. If someone's cheating, then they'll get suspended. Yeah. It's that simple.
John Boy had a really good rant about this on their podcast. So the reason that they did this way was because they needed to say something. Sure, whatever. But the rule book, as it stands, all this stuff has been illegal. It just hasn't been enforced in 5-10 years. No one's done anything about it. But because the rule book is the rule is already in the books, then Major League Baseball doesn't have to negotiate with the Players Association about it. They'll just start enforcing the rule that's already there. It's bullshit, because of how the baseballs are and everything, and that's part of the reason. I'm sure we'll talk about this too. But this is going to be a major deal with the CBA coming up at the end of this season, and I mean, the closer we get to it, the more and more likely that we don't get baseball at all in 2022, or we get another shortened season because of lockouts coming because they don't come to an agreement. That's another discussion, but this is just adding flame to the fire, and MLB royally fucked it up.
They fuck everything up. I can't remember the last time they handled anything well.
Exactly.
I honestly can't give you an example.
They never handle anything well. Rob Manfred needs to go.
Yeah, and I don't I know there's an argument to be made here somewhere, and some fucking rich guy could tell me the answer to this, but I understand the owners like Manfred, but I have no fucking clue why. If you're the Rays owner right now, are you not livid that he just took out your ace and the guy who was going to carry you to and through the postseason and potentially bring your first World Series to your town? Are you not pissed off at the fucking...
I don't know if the Rays owner cares about that.
I know, but still, the owners should care about this because Tyler Glasnow is. I live in Central Florida. I would go to a Rays game if I saw it was Tyler Glasnow, and I'd pay more for a ticket if I saw he was pitching as opposed to Ryan fucking Yarbrough. I don't care about Ryan Yarbrough or even Rich Hill. I like his nickname, but other than that,
he
I
brings
wanna-
he brings in the viewers. That's like the owners
Yeah.
should care about it.
I want to see a guy in the middle of a Cy Young Award race who's on a championship caliber team fucking playing out there, and you're gonna vote to keep the guy in his seat that legitimately is the reason that your ace is out. I don't know. I understand it's not all Rob Manfred's fault. There's other people, but Rob Manfred's the guy who can veto all that bullshit and be like, oh no,
Exactly.
that doesn't seem
And,
right.
He has all the power there. He has all the power.
And if Tyler Glasnow does end up needing Tommy John surgery, which is likely, and he's trying to rehab it right now, miss a few starts, well, miss a couple months anyway. He's on a 60-day IL, but more than likely he'll need Tommy John surgery, which means we won't see Tyler Glasnow back on the mound until 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's because of this rule.
Yep.
It's fucked up. It's completely changed the trajectory of Tyler Glasnow's career, and
The
it makes
Rays
me,
too.
Exactly. I mean, the Rays already had a ton of injuries, and now their ace goes down.
And it just means that they have to bring up more of their prospects a lot sooner than expected.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like it's a combination of baseball shouldn't have enforced the rule this way, and baseball needs to stop messing with the balls. The balls have been a different texture. They've been different sizes. They've been completely different years in a row now, and it's like you just got to stop.
Yeah, I don't know. If there's too much offense in the game, then so be it. And if there's too much pitching in the game, so be it. Unless legitimately nobody can score a run or nobody can get an out, you don't have a problem.
Exactly.
If they're breaking home run records, good. People want to see home runs. If they're breaking strikeout records, probably not great for publicity because a lot of people already think baseball is a boring sport, but it's not a problem. You're just going to see some damn good pitching performances. What if Pedro Martinez went out there in 2000 or 1999, had an amazing season, and then in 2000 they were like, let's make the baseballs a little bit better, make them fly a little bit further. You think he gives up more runs? You think he has a worse there's no reason to fuck with the order of baseball. Sometimes pitching is dominating the game, sometimes hitting is. Unless it's an outward factor like steroids, or in this case, certain foreign substances like spider tack, which I'm sure there's a way to just test for that or figure things out, or maybe, I don't know. Just check. You can still check the pitchers when they go out there.
If you can see, if the pitcher's on the mound and you see him go to like that clip of James Karinchak go into his glove, very clearly grabbing a sticky substance. People go to their belts a lot or the brim of their hat, like that stuff is very obvious.
Yeah.
Or the old pine tar Michael Pineda thing.
Like,
fucking spider tack just all over your neck.
Yeah,
but no, I completely agree. And this kind of, I didn't write this down, but it does kind of transition into another topic as we run out of time on this one. MLB loves to blame the hitter's approach for the lack of action, meaning they think that players swinging for good launch angles, only swinging for home runs is what's killing the game. So that's why they're trying to deaden the ball so that more fly balls result in doubles and stuff rather than home runs, because apparently home runs are boring. But that's not really the case. Shifts are making hitters swing for home runs because the only time they actually, can, if they make good contact, most of the time a player's right there to catch it, even if they hit it at 120 miles an hour.
They've gone their whole lifetime and through Little League, through the minor leagues, through high school, everything. A base hit up the middle is a base hit up the middle.
And now
a 115 mile per hour ground ball to the right side right up the middle is not a hit anymore.
There's someone there shifts every time.
I will say, if I'm yesterday, I was watching the Angels shift Robbie Grossman. Why don't you bunt to the left side every time? I don't understand. If there's no third baseman there, why don't you bunt to the left side every time? That's my one beef with it. Shifts are just really fucking stupid. And I understand everybody wants to hit a home run every at bat. I want to too. But if I see that side's open, why would I not bunt? Shohei does this all the time. If they start cheating him to the right, he bunts. And I don't think I've seen him lay down a bunt where he was out yet.
Yeah, no, I mean that's yes, it's a good they should be doing that, but I am of the camp where we should make shifts less drastic. Because like, oh, fucking rocket up the middle for a base hit's more exciting than a bunt. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But I do think we need to like calm it down on the shifts a little bit. But my point is, people have to swing for home runs because if not, they're going to hit into the shift every time if they don't, bunt the other way. And by deadening the ball, they're actually just making more flyouts and less action, which was not the goal. They just fucked it up really bad. And then by deadening the ball and not enforcing the sticky stuff rule until now, obviously offense is at an all-time low. So they needed to ban the sticky stuff, but they did it completely wrong by banning everything. That's basically the point of all of this. And plus, so it's the perfect storm for pitching being dominant this year, like we've seen, because we have major drastic shifts. We have sticky stuff being allowed until this point, and we have a shitty ball. So,
Yeah.
So my point is, juice the balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, juice the balls at this point.
2019 was a damn good year.
Out.
It was fun.
It was, yeah.
This year's not fun. The Yankees fan in the room can attest to that. It's not.
It's not, man.
Yeah.
It's so bad. We don't need to talk about
at least you have a winning record though.
Barely. Yeah, it was a good win against the A's today.
Yeah.
Fuck. I had one more. Oh, and the last thing I'll say about the sticky stuff topic or the balls topic before we move on. Pete Alonso came out. I don't know if you guys saw this. I don't know if people watching saw this. Pete Alonso basically said that Major League Baseball was changing the balls based on the upcoming free agent classes. So in 2019 or whatever, we had a lot of pitchers going on the free agent market, so they juiced the balls so that their numbers were worse and they got paid less money. This year, we have a lot of hitters going on the free agent market at the end of the season, so they deaden the balls so that their numbers aren't as good, they make less money. Huge conspiracy theory. Not sure if I believe it, but it's out there. Players are talking about it. And if that is true, and I'm not saying I believe it is, that's fucked up. That is as fucked up as it gets.
That would honestly make sense. That would make sense.
You can make it make sense, but I don't know if it's completely true. Because
if we want to put on our tinfoil hats for it, it would make sense. Because obviously Major League Baseball loves certain players more than others, but they also want to
big time. Yeah.
I don't know. Like and they have the power to do that. It's not like it's definitely not out of the question, but
well, I mean, they own the manufacturing company, so you can put the dots together. I refuse to believe baseball's that fucked up because
if they want to go out there and start using golf balls, they can.
I mean,
which is insane.
I mean, conspiracy theories are really fun to think about, and honestly, it could be true since they own the manufacturing companies. But I mean, I don't really know. I mean, with Rob Manfred's mindset, adding that extra inning rule, I could see it. So
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've talked about most of what there is to talk about the sticky stuff, and we mentioned. This is not going to be as flawless of a transition as I want it to be, but you mentioned minor leaguers or players coming up through the minors. Base hit's always going to be a base hit up the middle. Now we're going to talk about minor leaguers, not as much as the game like we want to, but story came out about Orioles minor leaguers the other day that they, for a whole 2-week period, they got just $900. And if you're over the age of 16, you know that is not enough money to to live on. You can't. Housing prices are sky high. Food prices are sky high.
Oh yeah.
You can't live. The point is, minor league players are living in their cars. They're sleeping on the streets. And these are not like low A. This is like double, triple A players.
Yeah.
Almost at the big leagues. It's a horrible look for baseball.
It's a completely fucked up system. The fact that you can just make it to the MLB for a little bit, and you're getting paid 6 figures. Just to exist in Major League Baseball, to be the worst pitcher in Major League Baseball, to be a reliever in the Angels bullpen, you're getting paid $500,000 to at least $1 million. Jose Quintana is getting paid $10 million, and I guarantee you, not 90%, probably like 40% of those guys sleeping in their cars could pitch to that level. But for one thing, you have players like, I don't know, let's use Mike Piazza for example. He was drafted in like the 14th round or some shit. He was drafted insanely late. These guys don't make a dime for signing with the team. maybe they get a little bit, like $1,000, few $1,000 signing bonus, but unless you're in a first round draft pick, you're not going to be making a 7-figure signing bonus like some of these guys do, and you just
Yeah, like some of the
can't.
top prospects.
Yeah, and the way I saw a TikTok on this earlier, how they're basically just exploiting dreams at this point. They're like, oh, we need players. You want to be a Major League Baseball player? You want to be a multimillionaire like Mike Trout? Well, you're going to have to spend 5 years of your life trying your best to have a very, very small chance of making it to the major leagues, and you're going to get paid absolutely nothing to do it. So hopefully you can get a night shift at McDonald's in between starts. Like,
And you're gonna be living in your car eating shitty ass food.
That's the thing. Like, these are professional athletes. Their bodies need to be in top shape to take advantage of that less than 1% chance they have of making it to the big leagues. And you're like, here's 2 quarters, buy a Big Mac, like, and don't starve.
Yeah,
It's-
like for athletes, health and nutrition and physical conditioning is the most important things. Like along with their mindset, and like even then, like these minor leaguers in the Orioles system being treated like this, that would affect their mindset a lot.
exactly.
Like along with their physical conditions and their nutritional values and all that shit. Like, it's just all fucked up. Like I just tried to look for the post and I couldn't find it, but
so I'm just looking up other sports for a second. Oh, Mick's frozen. Anyways,
Right here.
no, he's good. He's good.
okay, your picture's frozen on my screen, and I'm the one recording, but so you're just in a very awkward. It's like, anyways, so I looked up. It's obviously not the perfect comparison, but an NFL practice squad. So these are guys who aren't good enough to make an NFL roster, which is what 56 people, I think. So it's even
56
bigger.
to 60.
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
even bigger than a 40-man MLB roster. Obviously, the player pool for MLB teams is a little bit larger than NFL teams, but practice squad salary in the NFL for a first-year player is $8,400 a week. And MLB players are making $900 for 2 weeks. Minor league baseball players. I'm not saying that every single A minor league baseball player needs $8,400 a week, but I work at Disney World, and I make what, $400-$500 a paycheck for five. I'm making close to $2,000 a month. Why am I getting paid more than borderline professional, like not even borderline professional athletes who have potential to play in Major League Baseball? I just don't understand.
I don't know.
At least pay a
It's
minimum
beyond
wage.
me. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
beyond me, dude.
And-
I don't.
and, like, the precursor to all. Am I still frozen on your screen?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Well, the precursor to all of this is Major League Baseball like all the teams cut a ton of minor league teams.
Mhm.
Players lost their jobs. And the reason they did that was to save money and maybe pay players more, which obviously they're not doing. Like, if you're going to cut all those teams and then still pay the players you have absolutely nothing, it's just so fucked up. And, like, I'm not saying major leaguers need to be paid less either. I'm saying, like, but minor leaguers need to be paid more. They need to
Well-
be paid a living fucking wage.
Well,
Yeah,
just think
they
about
do.
this. I need to figure out how many players are in the Angels organization because obviously I can use this as an example, but we paid Jose Quintana $10 million this year. How many fucking minor leaguers could we have paid 6 figures for that $10 million salary that we didn't need? And we still have a shit ton of room in the salary cap as well. We have plenty of funding. Every Major League Baseball team has funding. We're going to get into that in a little bit, talking about the salary floor and whatnot, but the idea that you're paying shitty relievers $1 million to be very bad in your bullpen, but you can't pay the potential future of your franchise. You know how many Mike Trouts we might be missing out on that are bagging groceries now because they couldn't fucking live on what they were getting paid?
Tons
Like,
of
it's
people walk
insane.
away because they don't get paid enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can't.
And they lose
it's-
out on those opportunities that they're never gonna get again.
Well, if you're trying to be a professional athlete, it's not just a side hustle. Becoming Mike Trout is not a side hustle. It's you have to dedicate
Exactly.
your entire life to it.
Full-time
You
gig.
need every
Full-time
single ounce of your focus needs to be on becoming a professional making it to the major leagues. And I couldn't fucking focus on that when I got to figure out where my next meal's coming from. I'd be driving Uber at 12 and like fucking midnight to try to make some money so I could eat at least. And then most of these guys have families.
Exactly.
It's absolutely ridiculous. There's no excuse for it whatsoever. And we can get into the politics of it and whatnot, but shit, man. Just pay your minor leaguers. Pay a minimum wage at least.
Yeah, it's not even close to minimum wage. It's insane.
It's
like,
way under.
Yeah, exactly. It pisses me off to no end. I mean, like, to your point, you said $10 million. If you could pay 100 minor leaguers $100,000 a year.
Yeah, that's just, there's no excuse for it at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I'm not gonna say that Major League Baseball players are overplayed or are overpaid, but that's pretty much what I'm gonna say. Like, they could use that money for so much more for all, the whole organization, like the minor leaguers. Like, just pay them more. You don't have to pay all the major league players on your roster, like millions of dollars. Like, that's not extremely necessary.
I'm not even
Like,
saying they need to lower players' salaries in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Do I think Jose Quintana's worth $10 million?
No.
Obviously not. But even if a guy is worth $10 million, I'm not saying don't sign him to that. But like, pay your minor leaguers $80K a year, like, so they can live. Like, and if one of them ends up being, like, not saying they're gonna be Tatis, but like, I don't know, if one of them ends up being Luke Voigt, for example, a fantastic player, and like extremely marketable, you make money on the other end. So you have to invest.
Invest in the future of your franchise.
Yeah.
And these owners are just nickeling and diming until until people leave. It's an awful look for the game.
It's just killing this. It's just killing the sport for the future. Doing this to their organizations.
Oh yeah. Well, I talked a little bit about this earlier on our last episode, but now we're actually talking about it. One of the best personalities and just people in baseball, TJ Antone, and a lot of other guys too, like Ty Buttrey, the former Angel, who quit baseball this year just because he didn't. And I honestly respect the hell out of this move. He didn't want to do it anymore. He didn't want to be a professional baseball player or whatever. It just wasn't making him happy, so he left to do other stuff. But one of the things he's been fighting for, and I follow him on Instagram, so I see a lot of his stuff, is just talking about the shit that these minor leaguers go through. Because we all just think, like, oh, they get drafted, then they spend a few years in the minor leagues and sing happy songs, it's a fairy tale, and then they live happily ever after and make millions of dollars in the major leagues. But that's only the case for, 0.02% of these fucking guys who get drafted? So getting drafted to the major leagues should be, like, an insane, amazing thing. If you get drafted in the NBA or the NFL or anything, you're at least going to be making a shit ton of money, even if you're a bust. Like, these first-round draft picks, if Justin Fields goes out and has a terrible career, he's still made millions of dollars, and if he invests his money right, he's set for life. These minor leaguers, if they shoot their shot and miss, they're fucked. And most of them didn't even go to college because they're in the minor leagues trying to live their dreams.
Yeah, or they got drafted, a year or two into college and didn't finish their degree.
Yeah, so
and then, like, a thing I feel like we need to say, like, baseball has a much larger minor league system than any other sport. So, like, most sports, you have, like, maybe one minor league level, two at the most. Baseball has, like, fucking 5.
Basketball only has, like, the one. And the NFL, I'm not too sure about the NFL, but, like, I know the NHL has one junior league. Like, you'd probably consider them minor leaguers, but baseball, without a doubt, has the biggest.
Yeah, I mean, I think they got rid of, like, A-ball short season, I think it was called. It wasn't very many games. But then you have, like, A-ball short season, low A, high A, double A, triple A. That's 5 right there. And then maybe the big leagues. Yeah. So, good fucking luck.
No, and you hear stories of guys who are, like, 40 years old, 38 years old, who make their MLB debut. And then they get sent down the next day, but it's like, this man's spent his whole life in the fucking minor leagues. He's been trying that hard his whole year. And it's not like, your point with the practice squad in the NFL and the NBA and stuff like that, they pay their guys insanely well. But, like, even if you factored in the amount they pay their practice squads and put it into the MLB in the minor league system, you'd still be paying them more than what they're getting paid right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
I'm just saying we needed like I'm not expect like you said $8,400 a week like
yeah,
like
$2,000 a week. Give me
Exactly.
$2,000 a week, and I will still be upset because like then it turns into politics. We could talk about that later. You know what a living wage is, and you know should the minimum wage go up and shit.
For
but
a different
like,
kind of podcast.
yeah, exactly. But $2,000 a week, I'll be happy. Those are my terms, Rob Manfred. That should be instated as like just a general. I don't know. Do you call it a law? Put it in the rule book, something. You cannot own a major league franchise.
It's a minimum salary. You have to like.
Yeah.
The Major League Baseball has a minimum salary. I think it's like $550K or $600K. That's like if you make it to the big leagues, that's what you have to make, whether you're worth it or not.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
And that's what the minor league system needs. I just like so they can actually like live and breathe as a person. It's just very messed up, and all this relates to all this financial stuff we've been talking about. We're going to talk about the major league level now, and the introduction of a salary floor. Mm-hmm. Now, if you don't know what I mean, it basically just means that a lot of obviously the MLB doesn't, but a lot of major sports have a salary cap, so you can only spend $200 million on your team. Obviously, baseball doesn't have that; they have a tax, but they don't have a cap. Baseball needs a salary floor because we have teams like the Rays, the Indians, who are spending $30 million on their entire team and not trying to win, actively not trying to win because they don't want to pay their superstars. The Indians let Francisco Lindor go. He was the perfect candidate to be there for his entire career. He got every penny he deserved. Obviously, I know he's been struggling this year, but he deserved the money that he got. Baseball needs this. Mm-hmm. It'll make baseball more competitive because teams will actually pay their players, and it'll make it more profitable because I think the perfect example is Tyler Glasnow. He knows he's not going to be a Ray for very long because they're not going to pay him what he's worth because this is a potential Cy Young Award winner.
No,
and he's going to make $25 million a year. Whether you agree with that or not, the Rays refusing to pay that is bullshit. And if you're a Rays fan, you're not going to get invested in Tyler Glasnow's career. You're not going to you might not buy a Glasnow jersey because you know he's not going to be there forever. And it's bullshit. It's hurting the game.
Oh, yeah, I would never buy a Rays. I just as a Rays fan, you can't buy a jersey for anybody.
Yeah,
exactly.
You can't even buy an Evan Longoria jersey. That's like your franchise guys like David Price, Evan Longoria. How long were they there? Maybe 5 years. Longoria might have been there for like 8 or 9, but
I think Longoria was there for basically 10. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've never seen anybody stay there longer than that.
No.
Like I can't even like obviously David Price was amazing for them when he was a rookie, but then he got traded. He got traded to Toronto, right? Toronto. No, they traded.
He got traded to the Tigers in 2014, and then he got traded to the Blue Jays.
Then he got traded. Okay. Yeah. So he went to the Tigers. You had Chris Archer, who was a Cy Young candidate, and then went to the Pirates and sucked. That's a laughable trade. And the problem is the Rays are so good at what they do, they don't face any repercussions for it. Exactly. And honestly, I this is almost a hot take, but the Indians do the same thing. They don't pay anybody, and they're trying to lose. They tried to suck this year, but they're still good. They're still in a playoff hunt right now.
I think it's amazing because no matter who they put out on the mound, they're going to be incredible.
Yeah, and it's like frustrating.
Longoria was there for 10 years.
Okay.
He's probably the longest tenured Ray of all time.
Honestly, he might be.
But everybody else is only there for like 4 or 5 years.
He's one of those guys that's a franchise player and should be there for a long time.
It's a damn good system, but if every single MLB team did that, nobody would sign free agents, ever.
That's the thing. One team doing this is fine. But the problem is the Rays have made the entire league try and do this. Coming from a Yankee fan, now the Yankees do spend money, but the Yankees like to pretend they're the Rays in the way they do matchups, the way they manage, all this shit. I've ranted about it before. But like every team doing what the Rays do is bad for baseball because you don't have everyday players, you don't have an everyday lineup, you don't have starting pitchers anymore, and those are the things that you can. I know I sound like a boomer, but those are the things you can market about the game. And like the Indians owner is like the third richest owner in the game. He's richer than the Yankees owner, and he spends.
They definitely could have afforded Lindor for a couple more years.
He spends like a fifth of the money that the Yankees owner does. It's awful for the game that it has created a wave throughout the game that people are spending less and less money trying to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I think that also spending less and less money over the last couple of years also has to do with the pandemic, and losing money like without fans and all that kind of stuff. Even though they have other ways to make money, I think that also is a part of it.
I think they're blaming it on the pandemic, but this started long before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they just
Like, we had that
probably
free
just
agent
use the
class.
pandemic as an excuse.
When the free agent class where Dallas Keuchel didn't sign until like July.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas Keuchel is a fantastic pitcher.
He won the
signed
Cy
a
Young. Was it 2 years
Top
before
10
that
pitcher in
offseason?
baseball.
Exactly. Yeah, 2 years, 2 or 3 years before that.
Yeah.
Like, he should have been signed well before that. We've
That
seen
whole
guys like Lance
offseason was
Lynn.
fucked. We had Bryce Harper, Manny Machado,
Craig
and Mike
Kimbrell.
Moustakas all signed in
Craig
like
Kimbrell too.
March. It was
Exactly.
insane.
Shane
Yeah.
Green didn't get signed until late April, I think, or maybe even May.
I'm pretty sure it was May. Like it's just I don't know, dude. Major League Baseball is just in a fucked up spot, and the problem is we're pushing for all this stuff, but nobody is listening whatsoever. They do not care one bit.
Nobody in the league's office is listening.
Yeah, nobody in the league office cares.
And I agree. It's messed up.
Like all the beat
the whole
writers
system
care,
needs to
and
change.
even the players care. Trevor Bauer cares. You have a lot of players
Yeah.
who are getting more vocal on social media and stuff like this. And honestly, the
Yeah.
league just wants them to shut the fuck up and go about their business. But that's
And that's
not
why I
what we
think we're
want.
going to have a lockout. I think
Oh,
we're going to have
without
a
a
lockout.
doubt. Without a doubt.
Because the players are saying all these things. Like, it's a popular opinion. What we're saying right now is the popular opinion. But the people in power, the owners, Manfred, all them, aren't going to do it. Because it's all money based. You know, that's a whole. We could talk about the politics of that too. But so basically, $70 million salary floor. I don't think it's that bad. I don't think that's unrealistic. That's 3 times less than what teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Red Sox are spending, and it's still double what teams like the Rays and the Indians are spending right now. So it's a decent
Pirates too.
spot. Exactly. I mean, the Pirates are, they're trying to tank, whatever. That's a classic
The
reason.
Pirates, yeah.
But the problem is teams are trying to be competitive, like by making the wild card by not spending any money, and that's not good for the game. I don't imagine the Indians right now spending twice as much money as they have been. Even if they didn't sign Francisco Lindor, they could have gone out, they could have kept Brad Hand, they could have signed maybe 1 or 2 more relievers, and they could actually have some goddamn offense. They could have re-signed Carlos Santana.
Yeah.
They could actually
I was going to say that.
Well, even everything they do, even they're good. Like J-Ram, who's an MVP candidate, he's out here on I think he makes $8 million this year, something like
He's
that.
on the most team-friendly deal maybe of all time.
He probably
just-
won't even get extended. They're probably going to let him walk too.
Oh, probably. And God forbid they have a bad stretch. They're going immediately. They're going to start offloading any money
Selling.
they can, and literally offloading money for an $8 million contract. That'd be the most Cleveland thing I could ever think in my entire life.
Yeah.
It's different when you think like, oh, okay, they're bad this year. They're gonna sell guys. Like it's like back in 2016 when the Yankees were bad and they traded away Andrew Miller and Aroldis Chapman, got prospects back. It was like, yeah, they're doing this now because they're not going to win right now, so they're going to get prospects back. They'll be better in the future. Like that makes sense. But the problem with Cleveland is that they're not going to use the money they're saving on future players. They're just not going to. That's not what they do. And it's messed up.
Yeah,
It
it's
pisses me off to no end.
yeah. There's no excuse for it. I don't know. These owners are so rich. There's no reason to get cheap as an owner. When you see when you hear a small budget team like the Royals, that's not a small budget team. There's no such thing as a small budget team. Any team in baseball can afford to pay $200 million in salaries. They just don't. Some choose to, some choose not to. But if everyone decides to be the Rays, like oh my God, if the Rays win the World Series, we're fucked. Everyone's gonna start. Nobody's
fucked.
nobody's gonna pay that. And then how do you tell not even Fernando Tatis? How do you tell somebody like Carlos Correa, like, hey, I know you're having a better year than Francisco Lindor, who just made $300 million, but nobody wants to pay that anymore, so you could take 180 or take it or leave it. No one else is going to pay you more. And then that's a problem.
You can say, like, I know all of us would sign up for $180 million no matter what right now, but that's not the point. The point is they're not getting paid what they should be, and they're actively suppressing players' salaries.
Yeah,
which
but
is
if
fucked
teams,
up.
I'm just saying, if teams start avoiding contracts like that, like that's what the Rays do, and it seems to be working, and that's what the Indians are doing, and it seems to be working too. So eventually, teams are going to catch on to this, like the Angels, and they're going to be like, "Why the fuck would I give Albert Pujols 10 years when I could just, trade away some of my prospects and get more prospects back and just keep the factory going?" Pretty soon, you're going to be aging people out of the MLB at 30 years old.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of what's happening.
Yeah,
And we're gonna see more and more contracts like the one Trevor Bauer got, where he only signed for 3 years.
but he's getting
There's an
40
opt out
million.
after every year, and he
Mhm.
got paid. He got like 45 or 40 this year, 45 next year. Obviously, like he got paid what he deserved, but like we're gonna see more front loaded contracts like that, and they won't even all be that much, because obviously Bauer's coming up to Cy Young, all that stuff. But
Yeah.
it's killing by suppressing player salaries and not paying your homegrown stars. It's hurting the marketability of the game. Half the reason I love this game so much and I grew up loving it and I watched it so much was because I grew up watching guys like Derek Jeter and A-Rod and Andy Pettit and Mariano Rivera. Year in and year out growing up, I knew they were going to be on the team. I knew they were going to be playing every day. And it was awesome. I got to see their progression. I got to grow up watching those guys. And kids who were Rays fans, sorry. Yeah, you don't have that. Lots of teams don't have that. And, like, they're losing fans like me who don't grow up with that experience. And that's hurting the future of the game.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Rays fans would not have that at all.
Yeah,
And even
mhm.
Royals fans, we don't have that much of that. Like we had Mike Sweeney for a little while. Same thing with Billy Butler, but like we didn't like over the last couple of years, other than maybe like the core group of like the championship teams for the Royals, we didn't really have
And
much
even then, they
homegrown
all
stars.
left in free agency
They all
immediately.
left.
Yeah, they all left. Yeah,
No, I mean,
like
as an Angels fan
like
growing up,
not all at the same time, but like within like a 2 or 3 year mark after they won the
yeah.
chip.
But I get what Mick's saying. Like, I grew up loving Darren Erstad, and he was there for probably 10, 15 years maybe. Him, Tim Salmon, Garrett Anderson, all these guys stuck with the Angels because the Angels didn't care. We're just going to pay them. You just want to
Exactly.
stay here. How much do you want? Give him a blank check. You're staying with us. Same thing. Jared Weaver did that. And Jared Weaver got offered more money to leave Anaheim, but he was like, we can't. He took a team friendly deal to stay in Anaheim. The Yankees offered him like $100 million, and he was like, "I'll take 50 from the Angels. I don't care. It's $50 million. I don't need much more than that."
Yeah.
So,
I mean, at least the Royals, like, at least they kept Alex Gordon until he retired and Salvador Perez for like the next 5 years. At least
Yeah.
there's that. Like, I mean, I would have preferred that they kept Hosmer and Lorenzo Cain, but like, can't do anything about that now. Just didn't want to pay them.
yeah, I just don't understand like some of these teams. Like, it bugs me when teams don't try. Like there's teams
Exactly.
out there, yeah, like the Phillies try to put a team together. The Angels kind of try to put a team together, even though we've sucked for the last few years. Like we still go out and sign big names to try to make our team better. It's the teams like the Orioles that just are like, oh, we were terrible last year, time to be terrible again this year, and probably terrible again next year, and then maybe in 5 years when all of our first round draft picks that we've had in the top 5 picks for the last 10 years come together, we might have one season where we lose in the ALCS to the Royals. That's literally what the Orioles have done for the last 15 years.
Well, the Orioles got scared shitless of signing anyone to a long contract because of Chris Davis, but
Yeah.
Yeah, but that even before he sucked, like you remember that team? It had Chris Davis in his prime. It had Mark Trumbo on it.
Nelson Cruz.
Darren O'Day and Zach Britton were the lockdown. Nelson Cruz to that 1 year deal, and then after that,
J.J.
they
Hardy was there forever.
and then they just sucked.
Oh,
And
Machado, obviously. Yeah.
And they've actively decided to suck. Yeah, they could have retained Machado. They've
And
actively
they only signed
decided.
Cruz. They only signed Cruz to 1 year, and then he walked.
Yeah. So they're just sitting there deciding to suck, and nobody's doing anything about it. The Pirates are the same way. The Pirates, when did they last make the playoffs? 2014?
No, 18.
They made it in 18?
Oh, the wild card game.
I do not remember that. Anyways, but you know what I'm saying. Like, a lot of these teams don't try to get better. Sometimes they'll luck into it, but the Indians could have easily built a World Series caliber roster, and they just decided not to.
Yeah, exactly. Like they have the luxury of, they can pay their pitching not as much because they're rookies. They just don't make as much money, and they're so good at pitching. They could have used the money that they had in this championship window, you can call it, for actual offense, and they just chose not to.
Yeah.
Terrible
I
spot
don't
for the
know.
game. When teams aren't trying to win a championship, that's how you know the owners are fucked up. That's really annoying.
Oh yeah.
And it's
Well, it's
not even
more
like I'm saying
annoying-
the teams aren't run well, because I think a lot of these teams are run well, but they're just actively choosing to like not win.
Yeah. I don't know. It just sucks because especially when they get rewarded for it. I don't know, man.
Exactly. Like the
Because
Rays
eventually
making
you're
the
gonna
World
get
Series.
lucky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not good.
I don't know. It's a bad spot for baseball, but I don't know. Salaries are a very complicated and weird issue, but we're gonna have a lockout anyway, and there'll be an all-out war. Maybe we'll have a new.
It's going to be an
baseball
all-out
league.
war. The CBA war is going to be ridiculous.
I can't
And,
wait for
you know,
I can't wait for the XLB.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say about this before we move on, we just got a few more short topics to talk about in this one. People say baseball's dying. Blah 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 blah. Baseball's baseball has broken viewership records constantly this year. Fans are back in the ballpark. Fans are like the stadiums are back at full capacity. Like baseball is not dying. The reason people think it's dying is because MLB is doing a horrible job of marketing and doing things they should be for the game to be at its best. Baseball itself, baseball viewership is not dying. Therefore, the owners have money because of said viewership, and then they're choosing not to spend it. And that's what's going to drive people away from the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I think MLB has actually been doing a much better job of marketing lately. This
Yeah.
season in particular, and I think the game of baseball is growing because of that. I think a lot of people who before saw baseball as this boring sport, like I saw a fucking TikTok earlier that pissed me off so much of this girl talking about like how can the outfielders even pay attention to what's going on? But like the game of baseball is so exciting right now with guys like Tatis, and we're turning into the NBA kind of. The NBA, every time LeBron does anything, like takes a deep breath, they post about it. It works because it's good marketing.
That's literally that with Tatis and Shohei and Vladimir.
Yeah, that's how Tatis.
Everything on Twitter, it's always those three.
Yeah, which is a good thing for baseball because that's what works for it, and that's leading to a lot more eyes on baseball. Did you guys? Okay, so the game of the week on YouTube is also a great marketing thing in my opinion.
Oh, it is. It is.
And it has all the creators on it. MLB, if you're watching this, you boys. To like, they're typing in the chat, so you see like all these MLB YouTubers that you're watching. Bobby Crosby, Light Skin Chris, all these other guys, and you see him talking about the game, Jolly Olive, Foolish Baseball, while you're going through, and you're like, oh, so these are what the guys who I'm going to watch their YouTube videos that they might make about this game in a week from now. I'm watching them real time talking and actively talking about the game. And then normally I see these games, they at a maximum have like 70,000 to 90,000 viewers. Angels Tigers. Who the fuck wants to watch an Angels Tigers game on the East Coast that starts at 9 o'clock at night? Apparently 200,000 people do. Apparently over 200,000 people do. So
maybe the Angels are somebody else.
That's the Shohei Ohtani effect. That's what Fernando Tatis does. That's what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. does. Hopefully that's what Juan Soto can do, but he's been a little rough this year. Ronald Acuna Jr. We have all these guys, and certain teams don't have those guys. Like the Rays don't really have a guy, which is unfortunate for them. But throughout the league, I think we're going to start seeing these guys come to the forefront of it, and start pimping home runs, start doing stuff. And even like when Keenan Middleton flexed on the Angels, it pissed me off as an Angels fan, but it was kind of cool at the time until he got sent to the minor leagues. It's fun to see emotion in the sport, and that's what's helping the game of baseball grow. And if anybody says that the game of baseball is dying or not growing, I think they're just not opening their eyes.
No, they're just factually wrong.
They're just not paying attention to what's actually going on. There are more content creators for the MLB now than there ever were, like in past years. There's just so many of them. and they're getting more popular and popular as the game grows, which is
Mhm.
which is lovely to see because definitely need a lot more of that. That MLB content creators like partnering with the MLB and YouTube, doing all this stuff, and like it really helps market the game.
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't
without a
put it
doubt.
very well. Like, I think I guess what I ment was what they are doing by promoting these players and marketing and YouTube and all this stuff. They're doing a very good job of putting I forget the term. Basically, like covering a pile of shit in gold, or like putting lipstick on a pig. Like this is covering up all these deep-rooted issues in the game that we've already been talking
Oh
about,
yeah.
like the baseballs and the sticky stuff and the minor leagues and all that stuff.
No, I
But when
100%
fans
agree with that.
find that, then it drives them away. And we've only got a little bit of time left here, so
Yeah.
I just want to bring up a couple things. Again, we don't need to talk about it much, but the umpires just straight up need to get better. I
Mhm.
think we're a few years away, couple maybe 1, 2, 3 years away from robot strike zones, which we desperately need.
I
We
hope
also
so.
need a full revamping of the replay system because the amount of calls they get, not like the amount of calls they get like that are wrong, even after they get replayed, is absurd.
Yeah, it really is. Like, it was to the point like I was watching one game a couple weeks ago. I couldn't remember that the umps were so bad. I just turned the game off. Like, it's not good for the game. Like it turned me away, and I'm a big baseball guy.
Yeah, it can get it's getting atrocious. The fact that they can't change their mind. Like I understand being an umpire is a very difficult thing to do, and to be a good umpire takes a fuck ton of skill, a lot of focus and everything. If they make a bad call, they should be able to change their mind. If I'm being
Exactly.
honest, like that strike, you know what strike call I'm talking about. For some reason against the Yankees, I saw Twitter blow up on it. I think it was like bottom of the 10th inning, and they had a chance to walk it off with the runner on third, and it was strike three, maybe 5 inches outside, to the point where the batter couldn't have even hit it. If the umpire makes that call and they're like, "Wait a minute, that was fucking stupid. I'm sorry, that was a ball." That should be. I don't know.
They should be
Well,
yeah,
the
they
I don't
should be
know.
able to do that. Yeah.
we need a robot strike zone, like for
Yeah,
sure.
because we
And
all
that'll
can
have some
see it.
flaws at first. But yeah, exactly. Like we know what's a strike and what's not a strike, and then when the
They
human,
show it on the
ball
broadcast.
calling balls and strikes is extremely difficult. But when we have a system that could perfect it, why aren't we doing that? Because it can completely change the output impact of a game. And why the fuck do we have plays that are non-reviewable? And I'm saying this as a Yankees fan perspective. They beat the Blue Jays the other night, and they probably shouldn't have because Chapman threw a high fastball up and into Lourdes Gurriel Jr. And Lourdes he swung through it, or he swung through it, so it was a strike. But the ump called it a foul ball. But the ball hit off of Gary Sanchez's glove and went away. So technically, because he called it a foul ball, it was called a dead ball, and the runners couldn't advance. But it never actually hit the bat, so it
Yeah.
wasn't a foul ball, and the runners should have been able to score, and it would have been the Yankees probably would have lost. But that being a non-reviewable play literally changed the outcome of the game. It's the dumbest thing ever. If we can see what actually happened versus what was called on the field, why can't we change it?
Well, it's happened to the Angels plenty of times this year that they've had a play, it's gone under review, and it's been close, but you can see the guy's out. But I don't know if it's just the adrenaline of the moment or something. If it's not like 100% clear, they're still gonna call it. What was on the field.
That's the
Yeah.
The
dumbest thing
whole
too.
Yeah.
clear
It
and
is.
concise evidence or whatever is some bullshit. There's a difference between safe and out. And whether it's by a millisecond or by 2 full seconds, it shouldn't be that hard to overturn. And there should be somebody at the stadium who's viewing these things. Maybe not at the stadium because they're gonna get murdered or whatever, but you know, somebody who's watching this game sees the play. You could hire 30 people to sit in a fucking room and watch a baseball game. 30 umpires to sit in a room. If you're worried about robots taking over and getting all these people out of a job, have them sit at a desk and just monitor games. And they can tell who's safe or out, things like that.
Just make sure the call on the field is
Yeah.
right. Like you're saying, the play, like the thing that, the rule that if it's not clear and concise, it's not overwhelming evidence that the call on the field stands. If it's not conclusive evidence, is dumb as hell because we've gotten plenty of calls wrong because of that.
Oh yeah.
And it's like What was that play? Who was it? They say still hasn't touched home plate, even though the umpire ruled him safe.
Oh, Alec
Alec
Boehm.
Really?
Boehm.
Yes, Alec Boehm. Yes.
Yep.
Like he was clearly out, and the Phillies won that game because of that. So
Yeah, really should.
We also saw some stuff. This happened in the minor leagues. Hasn't happened in the major leagues yet. I'm sure it will at some point. What was his name? Bobby Witt Jr., your boy. He touched home plate and then got called out for
yeah.
not touching home plate. When you can clearly see in the video. And the umpire's staring at him touch home plate. And he still called him out.
Yeah, at the video in 24 seconds, you can see the ump look down when Bobby Witt hits the plate. And then, like, 5 minutes later, in the middle of another at-bat, he decides that he's called him out because he didn't touch the plate.
It's just
absurd.
He watched him touch home plate. I don't understand. Like,
I was so pissed off.
I don't know. Is there just is there a maximum IQ it takes to be an umpire? Like, if you're too smart, you're not allowed to umpire MLB games or something? Because I don't understand.
Obviously, I'm not it's mostly the replay system that needs to get better. Obviously, umpiring is. I think we've seen a lot more blown calls than we used to. Maybe umpiring does need to get how you get trained to be an umpire or whatever needs to get better. But umpires need to stop changing the outcomes of games.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
Yeah, flat out. That's all we care about. All I
Exactly.
care is that the outcome of the game is intentional. And then everyone's going to call you a bitch when you complain about, oh, the umpire did this. And I'm like, but he did. If it's the umpire's fault, it's the umpire's fault. You can't sugarcoat it.
Like the guy who it was a few years, 8 years ago now, the guy who threw a perfect game, but the first base ump blew the call.
Armando Galarraga.
Yes, Galarraga. He threw a perfect game. It should be in the record books as such. Mm-hmm. And the umpire blew the call. He knew that he blew the call, but we didn't have replay.
He should be able to change his mind. Why can't he change his mind?
Yeah.
He should have been able to be safe, and then oh fuck, hold on, my bad, he's out. You know, I don't know.
Exactly.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
It's annoying as hell. The system needs to change. I've really only got two things here, and they're really short. We need the universal DH. Pitchers are getting hurt again in the National League because of at bats, which shouldn't happen. DeGrom's injuries, they're not ruling out that it was a result of him swinging the bat. And we're talking.
His shoulder.
Sure, but we're talking about him being the most dominant pitcher possibly ever, and him hitting has injured him and maybe stopped that from happening. So
it's happened to a ton of pitchers in the past, and it just ruins them.
Well, no, in Jacob deGrom's last start, his shoulder problem was a result of a swing, he said.
Exactly, and that's unacceptable. Unacceptable. Unless you're literally Shohei Ohtani, that is unacceptable.
Yeah, if you're literally a pro hitter and pitcher, two-way player like Jared Walsh, Shohei, that's fine. I have no problem with it. But if you're a pitcher who doesn't swing the bat that often, or just joined a National League team and they're forcing you to hit, and you just tear something in your shoulder or something like that, then that's just fucked up.
Yeah, it's.
We need universal DH.
It shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, and we need to get rid of that stupid. Yeah, and we need to get rid of the stupid extra innings rule. God, that's awful.
I don't know how the fuck did that pass through anybody? How did that pass through anybody? They're like, what are we going to keep?
I have no idea.
Well, everyone hated this rule, so let's put that one back. Everybody loved this rule, so that's off the table. I don't understand.
They kept all the shitty rules from 2020 and threw away the good ones.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
It's a shitty rule. 100%.
Those are just simple things that will help the game grow. And we won't see a guy like Jacob deGrom possibly not be able to win the MVP because he had to swing the bat in a fucking dumbass National League game.
Yeah, in a game in June.
Exactly. And it's strategy, blah, blah, blah. Get out of here, man. I'd rather see deGrom win the MVP than lay down a bunt and move the guys over to second, and then there's 2 outs in the inning. I'm sorry. I'd rather watch a DH hit.
People out of jobs, too. Edwin Encarnacion, for example, he's, how old is he, 36, 37? He's on the cusp of hitting, a home run milestone in his career, and he's still unsigned at this moment. He should be on a major league team, National League, but because of this universal DH, and nobody's going to play him at first base or third base or anything like that, he's out of a job, as are many other sluggers in free agency at the moment.
Yeah, and dude, somehow Albert Pujols has a job in a National League club, and Edwin Encarnacion doesn't. I don't see how that happened, but here we are, man. 2021 such
Yeah,
a weird
good
fucking
point.
year, dude. Such a
It's
weird
been wild.
year.
The
I don't
last
know,
thing
man.
I'll say to fix baseball, change the fucking blackout restrictions. It's
Oh, dude.
insane. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
saw Fuzzy's tweet the other day, but he lives in Las Vegas. He was trying to watch, he pays for MLB.TV. He was trying to watch some game on the East Coast between two different East Coast teams, and he couldn't watch because it was blacked out.
Yeah,
Dumbest shit ever.
There's
have
no
that
point
issue.
of.
I have that issue. Like I can watch all the Kansas City games. Obviously, I'm in Canada. I can watch every single game. But if I wanted to watch a Blue Jays game, I can't watch it. And
Yeah.
I'm living in Canada. I cannot watch the Toronto Blue Jays. Like if I was a Toronto Blue Jays fan, I'd be extremely pissed. But because I'm not a Jays fan, I'm not as pissed. But like if the Blue Jays are playing at their home stadium and they're playing against the Royals, I wouldn't be able to watch it.
Yeah. And that's
So,
the
like,
that's the
it's ridiculous.
I don't know who that benefits. Like I understand
No
like there's
one-
cable
what?
company shit,
It's
but like
ridiculous.
who the fuck like I don't pay for MLB TV. I think that's stupid as shit. I understand it's good for your scenario, but I mean, without admitting to anything illegal, like there's no point of paying for it. Why would I pay for? Obviously, I'm in the same boat. I could watch the Angels because I'm not 5 minutes down the road from them. But why would I pay for something to watch games on the go when I can't watch the one team I want to watch? It makes no sense to me. Why would I pay for that? You could make
I'm lucky as a
billions of
Yankee fan.
dollars if you just allowed in-market games. I
Exactly.
understand.
I mean, I'm lucky as a Yankee fan where being like I live in New York, so all the games are on Yes, and with like my cable like package, I can stream the games on Yes, so I can watch all the Yankee games I've ever wanted to.
I've
Another
had
reason
cable
why
for years.
yeah, I know that's old school, but I like still I've been able to grow up watching them for a long time because the Yankees have such a good TV deal. That's what I'm
Yeah.
looking for. But a lot of teams don't, and a lot of teams like they won't, and it's dumb. It's really dumb.
It is.
But yeah, so I think we just fixed baseball by complaining about all that stuff.
Yeah.
So thank you guys.
We just need to get Twitter to notice us.
Yes, Diving in the Rough podcast for Commissioner. Get it trending on Twitter. I appreciate all of you guys so much. So get sticky stuff out of the game. Pay minor leaguers a living fucking wage. $70 million salary floor. Get the replay system, robo umpires, make the umpires better. Stop changing the shape and way of the baseball every single season. Universal DH, make it a thing. Get rid of the extra inning rule and change the goddamn blackouts.
And
That's
fix
how you
Mick
fix
Miller
baseball.
42's camera.
Am I frozen still?
I clicked on it at some point when you were talking, and now it's just like some cubes dancing on your screen.
No.
So since I said you were frozen, you've been out that entire time.
No.
Yeah. So we got the audio version on YouTube of Mick Miller.
Damn. I look good as hell too.
That's a bummer, bro. We got the first.
Well,
we got like the first quarter of the episode in.
Yeah, you know it is what it is. I'll let you send us out with the outro then, since people can't see me.
All right. Well, thanks everybody again for watching. Be sure to check out our Instagram and Twitter and whatnot, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's try to get to 100 subscribers. That is our new goal at the moment. We're sitting at like 60 something. So yeah, appreciate you guys helping us out. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys all in the next episode.